and welcome to the Orthodontic Products Podcast. I'm your host, Allison Warner. In this episode, sponsored by Ormco, we're going to talk about what it means to be a startup practice and making decisions around the clinical products you use, with a focus on the Damon Ultima system. And we're going to do this with Doctors Brady Petersen and Dr. Kory Grahl, who are in private practice together in Las Vegas under the practice name Orthobar. Dr. Petersen and Dr. Grahl, thank you for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having us, Allison.
Yeah,
Great.
Thanks, Allison. Excited to be here.
Great. Okay, so to get started, can you talk about how you two came together to start your practice? I saw that you both attended UNLV for dental school and your residencies. Were you in classes together?
Yeah, Dr. Peterson and I both graduated dental school together. We were both actually in the same team. UNLV breaks their dental school up into teams. We were in the same team for 4 years.
Okay.
And we remained close and in contact with each other ever since that point in time.
So how did you
even in dental school, I think we were. Oh, sorry. I was going to say, even in dental school, I remember being. We were at the same day interview, and I remember like seeing Kory over there, Dr. Grahl, and just being like, that's someone like very similar to me. Day one, and that was both when we hadn't even gotten into dental school together. And then we ended up, just sitting across from each other for 4 years, and our interests are very similar, even throughout dental school and stuff. So
Okay.
it's fun.
So how did you two know you were kind of compatible to start a practice together?
We kind of overlapped during orthodontic residency, and both of us had practiced general dentistry as associates for years prior to orthodontic residency, which is a little bit uncommon for most orthodontists in their journeys. And one day, I think I went up to Dr. Petersen and I'm like, hey man, let's build something together here. It's so drastically needed here in the Las Vegas Valley. I don't want to work as an associate for the rest of my life. There's definitely pros and cons to that. And having known Brady for a long time, knowing his values and stuff very much aligned with me, both in kind of the same phases of life on growth and development. And so it kind of just a match that just needed to happen, to be quite honest.
Yeah, I think a lot of that we touch on it all the time, every day in our practice. The years that we got in our general practice as general dentists, the years that we got there, you get a lot of those learning experiences out of the way. So we've done the associateships, we've done, are we interested in buying this dental practice and things like that. And we had both had experiences where we had both known where we'd gone out into that world. We realized how much we love orthodontics and how we wanted to go back, and the importance of that specialty. We were both working in practices that did some orthodontics as general dentists, but it just piqued my interest that there's so much more out there. And then talking with Dr. Grahl in residency, I think that drive to both build something of our own, be owners of a practice our own, keep that private practice alive, and it's so needed here in Las Vegas that we started that day one. I remember Dr. Grahl coming over to me and saying, hey, are we doing this together, or are we going to do this against each other? And I said, we're doing it together, because I'm not competing against Dr. Grahl. So
Neither am I with you.
We started, and we went from there. So it's
Okay.
been fun ever since.
Well, so what were you trying to strive with setting up Orthobar, which is the name of your practice? How were you looking to set yourselves apart in that Las Vegas area?
Yeah, I think I'm born and raised here in Las Vegas. I absolutely love Las Vegas, and I feel like I have a really good understanding of what everyone thinks Las Vegas is, and then what it really is. And what it really is it's a community, and it's a small town. Everyone knows everybody. And I know there's great orthodontists here in town. I've grown up with them. I was treated by them. But in our goal for Orthobar was we wanted to raise the bar in orthodontics. And that's kind of how we came up with that. And really there is another level that whether it's just our patient experience or the products that we use in our orthodontic practice, we want that to be different than anyone else here in Las Vegas. And so everything from that private practice feel to a beautiful office to the technology that we use, we want everything to be the best. And I know that everyone in Las Vegas, it's just like any restaurant, any casino. If you're not the best, I mean, if you're a casino, they blow you up. I mean, you don't last here forever. So you have to be at the top. So having that understanding, and that's where we want to take Orthobar, and we want to do that right from the beginning.
Yeah, and to piggyback off of that, I worked with some incredible dentists, and one of the differences that I found in most practices is people don't really know what you do to an extent. Like there's certain levels and degrees to things, but it was all how you made them feel. And so the way we built Orthobar, the way we structured our practice, like when you walk in, it does not give a I'm in a dental office vibe. It's I'm in a spa-like environment. You're greeted by the front desk. Everyone knows your name, your hobbies, what you do, and that's the structure of it. And then just partnering with really, really positive companies in selecting products in that rather than someone coming to you about the latest and greatest deal or cost or whatever. But no, companies that have been around a long time just made total sense and not cutting corners in any bit of the process. When you come in here, you're getting authentic products, authentic people at all stages throughout your experience here, and hopefully starting here to deliver you an incredible Orthobar smile is what we're trying to create. So it's a very different feel than send your insurance, we'll verify that, and then here's the fees and whatever. It's very much like, no, come in and meet us. We would love to meet you, get to know you as a person, as a human, and how we can be part of your lifelong built of confidence, basically. So it's very much structured off soft components rather than hard components in our practice. It's high touch points. It's understanding who we're working with, not just patients but partners as well.
Yeah. Okay. So you touched on this a little bit, my next question a little bit. Considering the fact that you are by definition a startup practice, what are some of those considerations in making a product decision for your practice? You talked about like not kind of taking the easy way or putting the investment forward sooner. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I mean, from the start, we've invested in a lot of technology. One of the early on disagreements between Dr. Petersen and I is what do we have a sink in the lab or not? And if we don't have a sink in the lab, then you're definitely not using stone. And so we are fully digital. We're an Apple-based practice. We have digital scanning technology. We have 3D cone beam X-ray. All those things, I think, contribute to finding and delivering the best possible care we can. And, finding good companies that have been around a long time and not necessarily the new latest and greatest, even though, we're talking about Damon Ultima being the latest and greatest technology of self-ligation. Ormco's been around a long, long time and have seen multiple iterations of their bracket. And so it's one of those things that, maybe there's this new sexy other company out that says they can do things better, but tried and true, Ormco has been around and has done it for years and years and even more years to come.
I just think too with both Dr. Grahl and I, we're orthodontists, but we also have that entrepreneurship mindset. And for us, it's really investing in something that's efficient. And then in the long run, speed is invaluable. So I love working with the Damon Ultima system because I mean, you're seeing these cases just come together in initial night tie wires, and it's fun. I had more experience not with the Damon Ultima system, but with previous versions and things like that with self-ligation, and we went directly to the manufacturing site, Invista's manufacturing site, and Dr. Frost is teaching us these new torques and what to use them with, and so it's been a learning process, but it's tried and true. I have faith in the other docs that have been using it for longer than we have. But it's at no point in the system are we questioning. There's even days where Dr. Grahl's not here and I'm here. We don't have to call each other and, hey, why are you doing this? It's a system that we've created together that works with Orthobar, that works with the Damon Ultima system, and we just continue to move these patients along. And the best thing for us is the patients notice it. We get compliments where the older sibling's been treated with a different system, and we get the younger sibling that's just starting out, and the mom's already telling us, wow, or we're 6 months in, or are we almost done? And we're like, no, we we haven't even got to the final touches yet. So it's been wonderful.
So can you talk to me a little bit more about what are some of the features of that self-ligating system that stand out to you that make you know that it's the right thing for you clinically?
Well, for me, it's personal experience. So I was actually treated by Dr. Frost and Dr. Nichols, two mentors of mine, and I can call now dear friends. And it was, and I've been treated 3 times, not to get in my case, it's pretty crazy, but they did it. What I started noticing as a general dentist on social media is you see, once you start diving into cosmetics or whatever, you start to see things pop up on your feed. And I started seeing orthodontics come in, and a lot of those orthodontics, all I was seeing was the front 6 teeth. Well, doing veneers at the time, I'm doing 8 to 10 teeth for arch width, arch development. And then I started coming across Frost Orthodontics page, and I'm like, that's different. That looks like a veneered-like finish. I need to go learn how to do that, so I don't have to prepare teeth and all that. And then that's when my case came forward, and I started feeling how this particular system worked and the efficiencies of it, and how I could live in Vegas but get treated potentially there, and we're not taking any extra longer of time. And so it's a personal experience that I started to go, okay, this bracket, this system is different. And there's a lot of other products out there that do different movements, but at the end of the day, if you talk to majority orthodontists, the most predictable development side things is width. And this system gets width not almost every single time, with solid predictability, where I can go into consult and be very, very confident and say no, we're sub 18 months, and you're going to be closer to 14 months for most cases, because of other things that we believe in. That's why our philosophy works in that way, which we won't go into orthodontic philosophy, but it's the predictability that it's no, it works 100% of the time.
So beyond, so you talked a little bit there about how it kind of creates efficiency or cuts back on the length of treatment. Can you talk about how this system kind of plays into kind of the practice management side or appointment workflow or that side? Because we talked a little bit about clinical, but in terms of that, how is it helping your practice there?
Yeah, I think just with all the growing pains of a startup too. We're hiring new employees. We're growing. There's all types of things like that, and so we're building our systems from the ground up. And a lot of these assistants have never seen even self-ligation, let alone, we're teaching them the Damon Ultima bracket and how it's unique. For me and Dr. Grahl, I think it gives us a lot of opportunity to teach. We are not, every minute of our day is not filled with orthodontic patients right now. So we have that opportunity to really nail down our systems, make sure that everyone's understanding it. And from what I see, I think our systems, I think they love it. I think they, once they get the opening and closing of the doors, we've talked to them, the different dimensions of the wire systems are a little different and unique. But they grasp it, and I think once you get your hands on it and you feel it, that it's a strong bracket. It's a clean bracket. A lot of our patients, the hygiene's better, and so those are positives that we see with that. and not a lot of I don't see a lot of negatives as far as like the learning process with it.
Okay.
It's been very streamlined, and they're able to pick up on it fast. It's still orthodontics. It's just different. So,
Yeah.
but nothing that can't be learned.
Yeah.
And to piggyback on that, Allison, I think with the two doctor practice, right? Having similar philosophies is really helpful for not just the patient flow, like someone comes in on a day I'm here and Dr. Petersen's here. It doesn't matter, we're progressing through treatment, but also for a treatment coordinator to walk in there and be like, okay, is this okay? I got to maybe talk about this because Dr. Grahl leans this way or Dr. Petersen leans this way. Is he going to use a class 2 appliance first? No, most of our patients, it's pretty set what we're going to do, and it's really dialing the fine tuning at the end, but there's no real guesswork when we're speaking with patients about length of treatment time and stuff like that. It's not, and it can get a little out of whack if you have multiple doctors in a particular practice using a maybe not so systematic type of system where it's like, okay, what stage of treatment are we in on this patient? And then checking notes. It's like, no, I can come in and I know exactly where we left off and where we need to go, and vice versa.
That's interesting that you say that, because I know I've talked to other practices with multiple doctors, and they talk about how systems are important, but it's rare that they'll talk about how the products play into creating that system. So you're kind of what you're saying is like that product creates a system that creates the predictability so that you can kind of bounce off each other. And I'm guessing share patients if need be, so that you have that, what you're dealing with.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's essentially a 4-wire NiTi series that we do. And then the determination is the art of orthodontics. The finishing orthodontics is when you pick your final wires. And, we're working on systems in that time as we're starting to get to that stage in our practice. But there's no guesswork involved. We're very systematic on when we take photography for certain stages within treatment so that we know maybe next time it's set up with Dr. Petersen for a pan reposition, and he'll know and I'll know, like, this is where we're going next. If there's anything off track or unique to a certain case, like we already know our systematic approach to things, go out, pick that up, and then come right back to where we were. So it allows us to to do other things in the business and on the business in the startup, rather than worrying about, crazy amounts of the orthodontic side of things, because we know that's going to flow efficiently and positive with zero hiccups, because there's less guesswork involved. It's just understanding the final treatment goal and objective and smile, really.
I like too that it allows us to, what we tell our patients is what they're coming to us for is they want an Orthobar smile, and that's what we've branded our smile as. But an Orthobar smile, it touches on all the points. It's what a Damon smile is, right? And that's been the great thing about it. It's not that Dr. Grahl, he comes up with Dr. Grahl smiles, and I'm coming up with Dr. Petersen smiles, and this patient liked this one a little bit better, and we got to do a transition in the middle. They're coming from day one. Our treatment coordinators know the expectations. Our front knows what the end result should be and will be. And that gives us a lot of confidence to just tell the patients from the beginning, I'm going to get you an Orthobar smile. You're going to absolutely love it. And then you go from there. And I've used other systems before.
Okay.
It's not doable. It would, in the end, it would be Dr. Petersen likes to do this bend, and he always does this trick, and you get those curveballs, which is great. I mean, that's what orthodontics is. There's always going to be that as you get into it, but it really does help with all that.
So what would your advice be? I was going to ask, how long have you guys been in operation at this point?
Just hit our 9 months of opening. So we opened October of 2023. Yeah, we shook hands in January 22. So it was a 20-month journey to finally open the door. So it was
so since you are so close to your start date, you're not yet a year yet, What's your advice
Yeah.
to practices that are, especially I think multiple doctor practices that are really just starting out in terms of making a decision around a bracket system?
What would be our suggestion?
Yeah, what are your tips or what would you tell them to consider if someone came to you?
I mean, I would say do your research.
Hmm.
So one of the things that I found very interesting in, one of this is speak with your reps too, but
Hmm.
um, we were able to go to Invista Summit, and one thing that I noticed particularly at that summit is, and not to dummy orthodontics down or anything, but all the finishes looked the same
Hmm.
at the Damon conference.
Hmm.
And I sat there and I was like, that's really interesting. And it's very different than other conferences you go to that are using all different types of products,
Hmm.
because you all get all different types of finishes. And
Hmm.
it was very interesting going to that conference. And I'm like, you know what? They're in all different levels of providers. I mean,
Hmm.
1 year out, 5 years out, 20 years out, 30-year veteran.
Yeah.
All their finishes looked pretty close to one another and they
Mhm.
all looked spectacular. And I was like, again, I need to learn how to do that.
Mhm.
And then looking at, my case and, Dr. Frost's social media, who is a
Mhm.
mentor, and Dr. Nichols, I was like, it seems to me that this system works.
Mhm.
And that's one thing that I found very safe or rewarding is like, hey, I'm a newer practicing clinician in the orthodontic side of things.
Mhm.
I don't want to reinvent the wheel. I want to be able to walk into a consult room and be very confident in what that I tell my patients.
Yeah.
And seeing that and seeing, new grads and, you know, veteran doctors and treating out the same and these finishes are spectacular. I'm like, that's a system that I think we go with. But for
Mhm.
people choosing, I mean, there's so much information out there.
Yeah.
You need to get a feel, and you need to get a feel for the trust of your rep in your area. I mean, we have a
Yeah.
spectacular rep here in Las Vegas.
Mhm.
We have a lot of excellent support from not just Damon, but the Spark rep, Jeannie's been amazing. Our Ormco rep, Brian's been amazing. Their their VPs have been great when they haven't been able to fill in.
Mhm.
So I mean, it's just having that confidence in a full company, a full
Yeah.
scope of products that you have access to that I think is critical,
Yeah.
rather than this newest product. They've just started. It's working out sort of for some practices, but you can't beat time. I
Mhm.
mean, they've been around a long time, and that's why choosing a system, I think it comes down to proof. Like, show me the results,
Mhm.
not a white paper or
Mhm.
a case report or whatever. Like,
Mhm.
show me. And if you go to one of their forums,
Yeah.
you see it all day long. It's all the same.
My advice would be, especially anyone the new stuff. I mean, it's hard to do broad statements, but
Yeah.
um, whether you're a newer doc or you've been out and been out in the field, what me and Dr. Grahl, we you got to know who you are first, and so you make your own goals. But I would say anyone that tells you no, you can't do it,
Uh-huh.
or and you hear that a lot with.
Mm.
I mean, we're in a whole different generation with huge student loans, and are you going to start up a practice? Where I know so many of my co-residents and colleagues, everyone, that's all our dream, right? Like, I mean, you want to be the owner of your practice. You
Yeah.
want to use the products that you want to use. I love simplicity. I love efficiency. And so I'm naturally drawn to, I would say I'm just drawn to Ormco.
Mhm.
I like it. So if that's something that you're fighting from the beginning, then maybe that's not it. But if you're lined up and you know that your goals are set and that those types of things, that's where I think it makes the choice easy. Like Dr. Ross saying, you're going to the forums.
Mhm.
Um, and it fits, right? Like I know that that's what I want. I know that's what my patients want, need, and it's just a matter of what I need to do then to learn the process, learn the system, and then do it. And anyone that says anything to you as far as you know, cost or time or how you're going to make that work, anything like that, that's I would say that's going against what ultimately you're going to get to. You're going to get to that crossroad where you're going to say, I should have just done it sooner. And so do it from the beginning. It all works out. You can make it work out. So it's there's bumps no matter what. I have friends that haven't started their own practices. We've started our own practice. Everyone's in the same boat doing it all. So it's orthodontics is awesome. It's a great profession. So we're all going to be fine, but you might as well enjoy doing it while you're going through the process.
One other thing I would suggest, people picking a product too, I just thought about is when you do meet with the reps, do they talk majority about the efficiencies of their product, or do they talk about other products' downsides? Because you get that a lot. Is they'll come in and they'll, whatever rep comes in, it's like, well, why do you want to do X, Y, or Z because they do that? Well, in reality, all systems have something you have to work around. I mean, so a lot of systems are really good at certain things. Some systems are not very good at other things, whatever. But I found that too, where if they start talking about another product that's not theirs because they think theirs is more superior or whatnot, that's a red flag to me of like, okay, why is that company in your head to speak about that product? It's because, are you not as good? Or are you trying to emulate that product? And so I would say that too, because you have choices in today's market, what you choose to use. And again, like what Dr. Petersen, you got to know yourself and what you want to do. And I'm very much the same. I like simplicity. I like to know exactly. I don't like having surprises. And so I would also caution at that of if a company starts talking about another company, then I would say, okay, start asking questions.
Well, to follow up, I was going to ask you about kind of how you're using your reps. And so you talked about how you're using your reps at that early stage. Once you've got the product, you've talked about how valuable you found your reps, but what are some of the things you're turning to them for that they've been able to answer for you or help make easier for you as you've been onboarding and just kind of working through the system the last 9 months with your patients?
Yeah, I think our reps have been fantastic. I mean, everything from the first question, hey, we're starting to practice. I got patients here in 30 days. What do I need? Not and knowing that they absolutely, it wasn't trying, I'll sell you all this extra stuff. It was, this is what you're going to need. Here's what the deals we have available for you. The buy one, get one freeze, the financing, let's make this work for you. New grad discounts, all kinds of stuff like that. We've gotten, and we just on a texting relationship. We'll text our rep after hours, responds immediately. I mean, just fantastic. And these are questions that, hey, we got a patient coming in the next hour. This is something we haven't seen. I remember with the first purchase that we made, we were still in that learning process of how to deal with the anterior torques. So the procline, retrocline, and we ordered, pretty much the percentage wise was equal amounts of both. And as we got into practice, we were like, I'm never going to use that one. I mean, I'm in love with this, proclining the threes. Like, why do we need a retrocline and a rep immediately? Just replacing those out. No questions asked, no, well, you got to keep that. You bought it already, none of that. And it's just, absolutely, that's what's best for your practice. That's what you're using. Let's do that. So super.
It's one of those things. It's like anyone, like once you become part of the Orthobar family, that we treat you as such. And to what Brady's saying, I mean, our representative, Ryan, he's, 2-3 years into the orthodontic side of things. He's been amazing. Transition, helping one another, build this up. And, most people are like, you're crazy doing a startup. I mean, Ryan, all of them like, yes, do it. It's awesome. We'll support you throughout the
Mm-hmm.
process. And taking our feedback too. I mean, some companies might be like, well, you guys are just, fairly new practice.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, they'll accept our feedback and say like, hey, this is what we have going, and
Mm-hmm.
this is how I think it could help future startups on a financial basis or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
But no, they have been spectacular. Lunch and learns, coming in training our staff about Ormco's direct bonding or spark
Mm-hmm.
aligner therapy, or again, picking anterior torque selection, what's kind of generalities and all those sorts of things. So it's not anything that's like, oh man, I gotta call my representative today,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
or if they don't know the answer, this is the best part. They're humble enough to be like, you know what, let me talk to Dr. So and so, and we'll get you guys in touch, or I'll find out the answer for you.
Oh, okay.
I mean, how awesome is that?
Yeah.
And so especially for, new practice owners and stuff that, there's certainly stuff we haven't seen, and
Yeah.
there's stuff we'll future never have seen, right? That someone is attacked.
They've,
And so that's where they stand, and they're so connected.
yeah, they've
Um,
connected us to multiple other Damon practices, other
yeah.
doctors, and just welcomed us into
Yeah.
that community of the field.
and
So
So,
and Allison's staff and team
mm,
members. Our treatment coordinator came from a Damon practice in Colorado.
okay. Oh, okay.
She moved here to Vegas, and
Mm-hmm.
I mean, amazing,
Yeah.
amazing person,
Yeah.
and has helped us tremendously on that side of things.
Okay. So it creates a support system, and like you
So
said,
can't
Dr.
speak enough
Petersen,
about how awesome they
a
are.
community. Yeah. Okay. Well, great. Well, we're going to wrap it up there. I really want to say thank you for joining me and kind of talking about your experience just as a startup and getting that going, and then also with the Damon Ultima system. So thank you so much.
Well, thanks for having us, Allison. Really
thanks,
appreciate
Allison.
it.
As always, thank you for joining us. Be sure to subscribe to the Orthodontic Products Podcast to keep up with the latest episodes, and be sure to check out orthodonticproductsonline.com to keep up with the latest industry news. Until next time, take care.